I got here and it's time to talk about Mushoku Tensei, and we had an amazing episode, beautiful, emotional, and everything in between at the same time. Considering what happened last episode, and here just shows why Mushoku is great. The characters, the relationship between them, the development has been insane here. Not just on the romance front, but also on the growth and depth of the characters. It has been so great, and I'm only gonna say it once. Fuck all the haters. If you have a problem, it's your problem. Go deal with it. That's it. There with that. But this episode makes me love Mushoku even more, showing why it is so good. And I can't wait for next week, but I'm also a bit sad because it's gonna be the last episode there, so we need more Mushoku. But anyway, let's get into this episode and talk about it. Especially the first scene, just the build up was perfect, the placement for it. Just seeing Rudy thinking of his parents from his original life, how he didn't cherish them, he didn't really was attached to them, not going to their funeral, thinking about his relationship with them in their past life. They're just showing that what a lot of people truly do miss about Rudy, even though he was reincarnated, his current mental age is not the same as a 40-year-old man or whatever his age was in his past life. He was emotionally stunted very much in his original life, not being able to relate to anybody, even his own parents, which pretty much destroyed his life. In a way, he actually died in his original life. Imagine not having the emotional growth to be able to get past those teenage years, then get past school there. That's why he did all of the fucked up things. That's why he got a second chance at life here, and I really love that scene so much in this episode here, and even more considering the context around it, what happened with Paul last episode, and even more here, like father, like son, just hit me in the gut. This episode makes you think about your own life, your parents, your relationship with people, everything. We see him at another low point in his life, and he has had so many up so far, blaming himself like I said he was gonna do from last episode. Even though he did get distracted, I wanted to expand a bit more during that fight there. He was still a mage in melee range in that position there. A lot of things went wrong, could have gone much worse there, but he was never a fighter for that range, but he was forced to be in that position, and I have to think about it. Did he make the right choice? Yes and no at the same time, because if he didn't go to save Zenith, they would have lost Zenith. Roxy would have died, probably even more. They probably wouldn't never even gotten to the Hydra if he didn't have that book. A lot of things could have gone much worse there, but I'm gonna reserve full judgment on that because I really hope nothing went wrong on the other side with Sylphie going back to her and his family there. Hopefully nothing happened uh, back home, so to say. If so, this is gonna be even more complicated here. Like, losing Paul is gut wrenching. Even more considering Paul is probably one of the best characters in the series. He's very flawed, but what he did for Rudy, for his family, and everything he's been through since the teleportation incident there, looking for everybody, losing himself. We have seen Paul at his lowest points also, same as Rudy. Insane character development between both of them, and their scenes together have been great there. But this is why Mushoku is great. It's not black and white. Nuances of gray are insane here, and him having a bit of survivor's guilt, not a bit, quite a lot, thinking you should have shielded everyone but me, I'm the fake one. Imposter syndrome also, not considering himself to be his son, referring to Paul, thinking I thought I wasn't Paul's kid, but yeah, you actually were. Without him realizing they're just all over in his own head, going to the dark places, everything here. And Rudy does this quite a lot. When something bad happens, he blames himself and he shuts himself down. And we have seen it since his original life, even when he was a kid back and throughout his entire life up to this point. And while he was doing that, we have Roxy visiting him, trying to get him out of there. Just let's go out, let's have a change of pace. But when you're in that headspace, you're not gonna have the willpower to do anything but that. And she tried to comfort him there, and he lashed out at her. Of course, he did. Everybody been into those dark places or mad or stuck in your own head. You're gonna lash out at people there. But Roxy was honestly the star of this episode. She didn't take it in the wrong way when he lashed out at her, him blaming himself even more there. And she slowly got him to open up a bit, saying she cherished their time together when they first met, that everything she did for him, and she sees Paul and Zenith as a second family and wants to share in their grief there. And if you think about it, Roxy has done so much for Rudy ever since they were kids. One of my favorite moments in Mushoku Tensei is when she helped him get over a bit his trauma to leave the house, because he was the shut-in in both his life, and she was the one that opened up the world to him in a way. And for her to be in this moment here, and she drags him in bed, and this is probably the moment where people are gonna have issues, but I think they handle this moment greatly, especially in a world like this. And she's willing to do anything to help him. He probably would have died and probably would have killed himself again, because that's how Rudy is here. I don't think he would have recovered on his own, like Elena Lis and Tallhand thought about this, and Roxy made the right choice there. And yes, Rudy was in a very emotional moment, and they sleep together. And yes, Rudy did cheat on Sylphie, but also no, in a way it's gonna be weird, but I really like how they handle this. And let's be honest, it's kind of obvious since the start of the series is going to be a harem series, probably going to end up with Eris in a way. We just don't know how yet, at least in the anime. I'm sure the light novel readers know, but Roxy saves him another time, because Rudy would have probably done something stupid here, and I don't trust what, like I said, Elena Lis and Alhand wanted to leave him alone to get better on his own, but Rudy rarely or never really gets better on his own. Every time somebody was there to save him in one way or another here. But yeah, this is gonna get very complicated moving forward. And the morning they both wake up embarrassed there, but you can see that helped him. They actually Rudy feeling a bit better at least, but they don't know what to do moving forward now. And I really like Roxy. Is such an awesome character. How far she was willing to go for him, for the one she loves here, and she was willing to put herself to the side, gives him the advice, treasure the family you have now. And he thanks her for everything that happened and for what she said. And Elena Lee sees them now. I really like Elena Lee this episode also. Roxy goes to talk to her. We find out later what they actually talked about, but probably the one that did the most ever since they return, have to give it to Lilia. And I even said it last episode during that final scene when Lilia is just like, leave everything to me. I'm like, Lilia is just an amazing person. How far she pushed herself. We see her taking care of Zenith, Rudy thanking her, and you see it that Zenith, apparently she lost her memory, and according to Elinali she might not recover, but I really hope there's going to be a way to save Zenith, to at least bring her back in some shape, form, anything. There has to be something to bring back Zenith, because she's great also, but there has to be worth to this. Like, I know they saved Roxy, but I also want Zenith to be back, especially for Rudy and also for Paul, giving his life both for Rudy and also for Zenith there. And Lilia is just insane how good she is. Like, you see it if you look closely. I hope you guys go back if you've missed it during the episode. Like, she's so strong, willing to do anything, no complaints. but she's very good at hiding it, because you see it in her eyes. She probably cried her eyes out during the night, during everything, but she wasn't showing it to everybody. Marks on her eyes, but even then, she tells Rudy, "Leave it to me. Go do your duty, as in be with your family and so on. I'm gonna be the one to take care of Zenith. You don't have to worry about it." And even more considering everything that happened between her, Paul, and all of the family drama there, and Lilia is an awesome character here. I do hope uh, there's gonna be a way to save Zenith also. But yeah, Rudy decides to go home. Everybody they start heading home. We see them on the road supporting each other, especially Roxy supporting Rudy because he's still missing his hand. She kind of acts like his left hand in a way. She even says it like that. And speaking of that, I hope there's gonna be some magic or something for him to get back his hand or a sword or weapon instead of that, if that's not possible. But by the way, he said that this magic is not strong enough when he healed himself. There might be something stronger to do it, and we still have a lot of the world to discover, a lot of the seven powers and everything and so on. So there's probably gonna be a way for him to get his arm back there. But yeah, after they camp a bit, we have the cute moment, Roxy Posey with Rudy there, and him telling her, uh, talking to each other, and the inner monologues have been great with Rudy saying, "I love Roxy, but I also love Sylvie. I love both of them, but in different ways, equally." Which can be true at the same. Imagine if you're a parent, you love your kids both the same way, equally. It's very hard to differentiate, and here he has been loving them since he first met them here, and also has the other thing. He's married, he's gonna have a kid, and he actually tells her romance isn't really possible between us here. So, yes, he did cheat on Sylvie, but also he was willing to let go of Roxy for Sylvie. So, this is so torn, so complicated, so it's very easy to look at it black and white, but I really like how they handle this so much, and this is how you do a harem possible here. And I loved what Roxy did, how much she was willing to put herself down, to step aside there, and even when she said, "Let's at least be together on this journey," she was like, "No, none of that." She took herself aside, and we find out what Alina, Lisa, and Roxy talked about. She told him, she told Roxy of the marriage and everything, and so on, and she even takes the blame on herself, saying she took advantage of him. And I was like, "No, Roxy, don't do this." She was like, "I'm sure you couldn't love someone like me, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Rudy loves you ever since you first met there." She was willing to leave after they got back home, but she was like, "I want to repay you in any way. Just wanted to be listen to my excuses." And the way she said, she's so cute. She fell in love at first sight with him in the labyrinth. Remember the quote there, "The perfect man to save her in a labyrinth" there, and she knew he needed somebody to help him ever since they first met when he was a kid. Her as a mentor there, when she helped him get over that trauma there, and she had to help him. She didn't trust what Lina listened all hand said with him is gonna recover on his own, and I really do agree with that. Like, Rudy was probably not gonna recover on his own, and what she did here was the right choice, even though it complicated things quite a lot. But her willing to be without him just shows how much she's willing to self-sacrifice there. And yeah, this is gonna be interesting because they actually go back. We have them using the teleportation. They go back, and here Elena Liz did great here. What she did. We have them talking a bit. Elena Liz and Rudy again. The camp asking him, "Do you worship Milis?" As in the god Cliff also worships there, and neither does Sylvie. And apparently, followers of Milis only have one wife, and she likes this because she's on the receiving end right now from Cliff. But she has great advice. "Rudy, you can love more than one person at the same time," and tells him, "Marry Roxy, both for you and for her," which is very true because Roxy was suffering herself a lot more than she was letting on to everybody around her. And Elena Liz knew that there, and said after Paul married Lilia, did Zenith become miserable? Which, no, she didn't. There was a big moment between them at the start, but after that, they were great together there, and he has to make the decision to ask her. He loves them both, but also, how do they feel about this? Will they be okay with this? Having this dual marriage in a way, and Elena Liz is the best wing woman to have on your side, especially for Rudy's. Pushes him, ask Roxy now, get an answer now. And yeah, Rudy talks to her, but you're struggling so much to get it out, which is very understandable. It's very easy from the outside, just be like, say it, come on, dude, say it, do it, be honest. But when you're the one in the position, which I think it's a problem for a lot of people when watching anime, TV shows, reading a book or anything, and even in real life, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, it's very hard for people to do this. It's very easy from the outside looking in to say, yeah, I have the solution, or hindsight is 2020, the same way as what happened with the decision for him to go after Zenith there. But yeah, him struggling to ask and telling her I wouldn't survive without her, everything she did for him. And I really like how he asked, my wife, her name is Sylphiette Greyrat, wouldn't you mind also changing your name to Roxy Greyrat, basically proposing to her, I love you, telling her he loves her. But I like this from Roxy, just showing why she's so great. You need your wife's approval, so ask me again once you get it, which is very true. I'm really curious how Sylph is going to react to this. I think she might be okay, maybe not at first, but yeah, I can't wait for next episode. Sylphie is gonna be the center of attention here, but it's probably gonna end up well, but I'm really curious how they're gonna reach that that conclusion. And I love the last scene, considering how the episode started with him not really considering himself as Paul's son, but throughout everything, tying it all back together, caressing the Paul's sword there throughout the journey, actually got me teared up throughout the episode. We are the same, we aren't so different, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, or like father, like son, however you want to call it. This is the second chance of Mushoku Tensei, and I love this series so much. Yes, it's flawed, but being flawed is probably why it's also really good. But yeah, I could go on a rant and so on, but probably I rambled way too much. This has been one of the best episodes. I feel like this season just makes it even better with how much character development and depth we have gotten so far. So fuck you, haters. But yeah, I'm really curious what you guys thought about the episode, what I think so far with the anime, and light novel readers, what do you think the anime, how has it been so far? Of course, don't go into spoilers or anything of that kind, but as always, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, helps me quite a lot, and you guys get the latest videos on the series that I follow. So keep enjoying Mushoku Tensei. I'm gonna see you again on the next one. Bye bye.